Hey guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So this is a tag that I do every single year. I've been doing it for a few years now, and it's a good way to reflect back on your reading for the past half of the year. So overall, my reading is going okay. Honestly, it's not ideal. I've only read like 27 books this year, and my goal for the year is to read 75 books, so I'm like 9 books behind schedule at this point. So, you know, in that regard, I am actually kind of freaking out, but you know what? It's okay. I might have to adjust my goal a little bit. But other than that, I've been doing pretty decent with my reading. I actually haven't really read a bunch of stuff that's like really wowed me. So it was kind of honestly hard to pick all of the answers for all of the questions since I haven't even read that much. But yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and start. So the first question is, what is the best book that you've read so far this year? And for this one, I'm of course going to be going with Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book to the Last Hours trilogy by Cassandra Clare, which is of course set in the Shadowhunter Chronicles universe. This whole trilogy follows the children of the main cast of the Infernal Devices, which is my favorite trilogy of Cassandra Clare's works. So since it's Cassandra Clare, of course I was super excited to read this one, and of course I wasn't disappointed. This trilogy overall is definitely more character driven than a lot of her other books. A lot of her other books are filled with a lot of complex plot, and this one does have a lot of plot as well, but I think it's a lot more focused on the characters than the other ones. I actually don't mind that it's more character driven because this trilogy actually has probably one of my favorite cast of characters from all of her series. And of course, since this is Cassandra Clare, we are not surprised this is my favorite of the year. The next question is, what is the best sequel you've read this year? And I was gonna choose Chain of Iron for this one too, but I didn't want to keep doing Cassandra Clare for every single answer, so I'm going to be going with Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This book is actually not a sequel. It is a prequel to The Hate U Give, and it follows Maverick, who is Star's father, and Star is the main character from The Hate U Give. But this follows him as he is a high school student. He's 17 and he newly is a single dad, so he's kind of navigating that as well as trying to figure out his life. This was actually also a really big surprise for me. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. Maverick is a character that I liked reading, but I wasn't sure if I really wanted to read about his story, but I think that this is fantastic. I was truly invested in his life and his story, and I think that he's just such a good person. And also I wasn't sure if I was gonna like this because it's a prequel, and I don't know, I wasn't sure. At first I thought this was a novella, so I wasn't even gonna pick it up, but then I found out that it's actually a full-length novel, so I decided to give it a go. But I'm really glad I did because I really enjoyed my time reading this book. The next question is a new release you haven't read but want to, and for this one I actually have 2 books. The first one is Counting Down With You by Tashi Bhuyan. This book is a new release that just came out in May, and I first heard about it because a lot of people were giving it really great reviews, and at first I didn't even know that it followed a Muslim main character who's a high school student, and once I found that out I immediately wanted it. So I bought it. It's been sitting on my shelf, but I will get to it eventually, but I definitely want to get to this one this year. And the second new release that I really want to get to this year is Ace of Spades by Farida Abika Iyamide. I have no idea if I pronounced that name correctly, so I'm so sorry if I messed it up. This one is also a book that I've been hearing non-stop amazing reviews for, and everyone's reviews is getting me hyped for this. And this is another book that wasn't really on my radar. I had heard about it, but it wasn't really a book that I was actively waiting for it to come out. But ever since that it came out, I've been hearing so many great reviews that I just really want to read it now. So yeah, hopefully I will get this one soon. The fourth question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And to be honest, I don't know many books that are coming out in the second half of the year. All the books that were in my most anticipated release video, back in January when I did that, were all for actually the first half of the year, and I personally didn't really find any books that were coming out in the second half. I don't know if it's just because there wasn't any information released about those books yet, but I hadn't found any. And even right before this filming this video, I did try to look up some books that are coming out, but most of them I haven't really heard of. Most of the books that I am really anticipating are usually from authors that I've read before and know that I love, so that's where the anticipation comes from, because I'm waiting for the next book in their series, or just I know it's an author that I love. And then if it's another book a debut author, I usually only pick them up once they come out and that I've heard really great reviews for. And none of like my favorite authors are really releasing any books in the second half of this year. The ones I'm super excited for are coming out actually in the beginning of 2022, so I can't really talk about those. But I guess the couple of books that I did end up finding that are coming out, one is Gilded by Marissa Meyer. This book I think is actually a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. I'm not quite sure, but I know that I'm excited because I love Miss Marissa Meyer as an author. I just love her Lunar Chronicles series is a classic, of course, and her Renegade series as well. So yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out for that one. And I also learned that Karen M. McManus is releasing another thriller at the end of the year, which I'm also super excited for. I think this one's called You're Gonna Be the Death of Me or something like that. And I have been reading Karen M. McManus for the last couple of months. I read One of Us Is Lying, her first like main thriller, and then I read One of Us Is Next. And both of those aren't books that are like literary masterpieces or anything, but I just personally find them entertaining. So yeah, I'm definitely also going to be looking out for You're Gonna Be the Death of Me. The next question is, what is your biggest disappointment so far for this year? And for this one, I'm going to be going with A Song of Wraiths and Ruins by Roseanne A. Brown. This one is a YA fantasy novel, and the reason it was a disappointment is because I just felt like it was it was a story I had seen a million times before, and I personally couldn't really connect to it. I don't know, just like there's so many YA fantasy series that are saturating the market, so it's really hard to be kind of unique these days. And it's not like there were less YA fantasies before. There were definitely a lot of YA fantasies back then, back like a few years ago, but I think I've just read so many that it's like hard to find something that I truly think is like amazing and unique. But this one, I don't know, I personally read it. It was like a 3 stars for me. I really wanted to love it because I had seen a lot of really great reviews for this one. But I don't know, it just didn't wow me like it did for everyone else. At this point, I have no idea if I'm going to be picking up the sequel. I might, just because like I didn't hate this book. I gave it 3 stars, so I might just pick up the sequel to see what that's like. But as of right now, like I don't know, I just didn't love this book as much as I really wanted to. The next question is, what is your biggest surprise of the year so far? And for this one is actually another YA fantasy, which is kind of ironic, but this is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. As I said, this is also a YA fantasy, but the reason for some reason I just enjoyed this so much more. Even though this is a concept, like I guess the Chosen One concept is like something that is overly saturated in books. Like I've read a million books that feature like the Chosen One trope, but with this one I think that it was done really nicely and in a way that was kind of unique, at least to me, so I ended up really loving it. I don't know, it's funny how like some books like are just okay to you, and then for other books you like find some connection with it. I don't know, this was just one of those times where I just really enjoyed my time reading it. I don't know, I just love the writing and the plot and the characters, and I don't know, I just really had a lot of fun reading it. The next question is, who is a new favorite author that is either a debut author or it could be an author that is new for you? This one I'm actually going with an author that is new for me because I think she does have quite a backlist, and that is Talia Hibbert's book. This one I'm holding Take a Hint, Danny Brown, because this is an answer I have for a later question. But Talia Hibbert as an author is something that I just started reading this year. I've quickly come to love her romance trilogy, the Brown Sisters trilogy, and I know that she has quite a backlist of a lot of books, so I'm interested in trying to pick up a few of them and see how I like them. Romance isn't really a genre that I tend to pick up just because it's just not something I'm used to, or like I guess I just haven't ventured there yet, but I am really liking what I've read so far. Honestly, the types of romance books that I usually tend to enjoy are like the less steamy ones. Like I know there's a lot of books out there that are like super steamy. I like more like rom-com style books where it's like a cute story, and that is what Talia Hibbert's books are, at least so far what I've read them. I don't know about her other books, but am interested in picking them up. The next question is newest fictional crush, and actually I don't really have one. It's been a very long time since I've been swept away by like some swoony love interest in a book. So yeah, I don't really have an answer for this one right now. The next question is, who is your newest favorite character? And for this one I'm actually going with Maverick from Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. The reason I just loved him so much is because he was just such a different character than what I was expecting. Like the way he stood up and just stepped into the role of being a single father was just amazing. He was such a nice and caring father, and at the age of 17 too, when he's in high school and he's literally trying to figure out his life. Like, he was still such an amazing father, and he still put his son's needs above his own, which I think is like something that I wasn't expecting at all. And maybe this is because I'm biased and I know that it can be really hard to have such a life-changing event happen to you, especially at a young age like that. But the way he just stepped into the role and just, even though he struggled a little bit, he like eventually found his footing, and I just loved watching that happen in this book. So yeah, definitely Maverick from The Hate U Give is one of my new favorite characters. The next question is a book that made you cry, and I don't know, I've said this multiple times before, but I have never cried for a book or a movie or anything in my entire life. I don't cry for anything that's not personally happening to me, because like if I'm watching something that's sad or reading something that's sad, I know that it's fake. So like in my mind, I'm just not like super emotionally connected. But anyway, I don't have an answer for this one because I've never cried for a book. But believe me, I'm such a crybaby when it comes to my own life. The next question is a book that made you happy, and for this one, I'm going to be again talking about Talia Hibbert's book, which is Take a Hint, Danny Brown. This one is the second book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and this one follows the middle sister. This is actually my favorite of the whole trilogy, and I don't know why I love this more than the others, but I just really loved the fake dating trope in this. I don't know, for me it was just way more like well written than the other books, and the story and the conflict really made sense for the story. Anyway, I don't know, I was really happy while reading this because I just love reading all the cute moments that they had together, especially the ones that come with like the fake dating trope. So yeah, this one made me really happy to read. The next question is, what is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year? And for this question, I'm actually going with a book that I got last year in 2020, I think in the second half of the year. But I haven't really bought that many, like, I guess, wow, beautiful, at least for me, like, covers this year. So this one, I think, takes the cake above all of them, even though I bought it in 2020. But that is Sky Hunter by Marie Lu. Every time I bring this book up, whether it's in, like, a wrap-up or, like, in my last book haul, when I got this, like, I mention the cover every single time. Like, I literally am in love with this cover. Like, you don't even know. It's so pretty. And I also really love that when you take off the dust jacket, you have like this watercolor, I guess, like art on it, which is also super pretty, like wraps around to the back too, and it's overall just a very well designed book. So yeah, even though I bought this last year, I still think that this deserves to be on this list. And the last question is, what are some books that you want to read by the end of the year? So for this one, I actually also have two books. The first one is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This book actually came out last year, but I've been meaning to read it ever since it came out, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I definitely want to read it before the end of the year this year. And the second book that I'm going to be talking about is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah Maas, which is also a new release that came out this year that I haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, I just haven't gotten to it because it's literally so big. It's about 700-ish pages, I believe, 750 pages. So it is a little intimidating to read, but I am also hoping to get this one before the end of the year. So those are all the questions for the mid-year book Freakout tag. I wish I had read a little bit more. Honestly, as the years go on, my reading has slowed down like exponentially over the years. Like, I used to read 120 books a year, and now I'm literally reading like half that. So I don't know, just I guess growing up, less time, it's just a sad thing, but you know, life goes on. But anyway, let me know down below what is your favorite book that you've read so far this year, as of course I would love to know. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.